Welcome to the Pole Shift News, the home of the Mathstar Observatory. Guys, we've got a load to get through in this video, so I'm going to try and press on and not waste any time, because I want to cover quite a few things, such as I want to have a look at some of the magnetosphere data over the last 14 months. Yes, guys, can you believe it? We've been monitoring here in the UK for 14 months now the magnetic field strength, so we're going to have a little talk about that and the results of that study that we've been doing for the last 14 months. We've got some data in from Hong Kong, China. We're going to have a look at that. Big thank you, Tony. Got the message yesterday and processed the data this morning. It's up on the website if you want to have a look at that. We'll get into that a bit later on. And also, guys, just mentioning the possibility of building the cosmic ray detectors and getting those sent out around the world to some of our subscribers. We've managed to raise just over a quarter of the budget already by just a few people. So it looks like we're going to build these muon detectors, and the reason why we're looking for muons is because, as you know, they are byproducts of cosmic radiation. And if we can set up our observatory and have probably 10 of these around the world, then guys, the amount of information that we can gather in data form with regards to cosmic radiation is immense. It's not cheap to monitor these things. You have to build these devices yourself, because I'm not aware of anyone that sells these off the shelf. Even the university that designed this, MIT in the States, have put it out for anyone that has an interest in studying cosmic radiation to build it themselves, and they've provided the schematics, the shopping lists, which is what we're looking at here. And as you can see, there's a fair old few components to solder up on the PCB boards, which I'll be ordering later on this afternoon. And hopefully it won't be too long before we get these PCB boards built and we can start sourcing some of the other components like the resistors, the capacitors, and all the other things that we're going to need to build these 10 muon detectors. But I just want to put it in perspective, guys. China recently spent £1 billion, I think it was China or Japan, on a research facility to solely monitor the amount of cosmic radiation inbound in our atmosphere. It was a facility that's only just been built. You've probably come across the story or the article. I did mention it a few months ago when we was talking about this. But we ain't going to be in one location with our muon detectors. We're going to be in 10 locations. And we haven't got £1 billion. But what we have got is, the drive. We've got a few people that support this channel and want to see it go from strength to strength, and that is exactly what we're doing. We're not just now going to be monitoring the magnetic North Pole and its migration, but we're going to look more specifically into how it affects our atmosphere with the amount of cosmic radiation that comes in. So guys, it's going from strength to strength, and it'll probably be a couple of months before we have a couple of these devices ready to go out. Now, if you're in Brazil, let me know. And if you want to be, join our team of people that have got magnetometers around the world, and you want to put one in your property and send us the data back, and we'll process it and add it to the website. If you want to become part of that team that does that, then drop me a line in the comment section. I'll read all the comments. And yesterday there was someone that was asking for my email address. I've managed to send that now to that guy, and hopefully we'll have the first of the two that are soon to be going out, which will be going to South Africa, I believe, Zimbabwe, I think it is. But guys, it's great that we've got people that are prepared to take a little bit of time out for themselves to add to our data collection. And like I say, I don't think NASA would get away with exactly what we're doing here. If they was to try, they would have to have, first of all, a facility in a country, and to do that they'd have to have permission of the government, and then they'd have to pay people and train people to work the equipment, collect the data and send it back. And it would be a big operation. It would cost millions of pounds, and we're managing to do it on a shoestring budget here. But we do need support, guys. Like I say, we are just over a quarter of the way there in getting the funds together now to build these muon detectors. I know that there are people out there that are going to want the muon detectors in their country, in their homes, and send the data to us. And what can I say? You know, we won't just be covering the magnetic pole and those high intensity regions around the world. We won't just be covering the low intensity with regards to the South Atlantic anomaly, you know, that area of low intensity, magnetic intensity in that region, but we'll also be covering the amount of cosmic radiation that is inbound and increasingly inbound on our atmosphere right now. So guys, if you want to jump in and start helping us, well then the best way to do it right now is, you know, send us a donation so that we can get the rest of these components and build these muon detectors and continue what we're doing. Our observatory, guys, is international now. And this is, I say our observatory because it's all of our observatory. It was crowdfunded from day one. You know, I've invested a lot of time, and I don't mind investing more of my time, you know, because look what we're doing. It's a fantastic job, and it's been solely down to just a few people that have chipped in. So if we can continue doing that, we can raise the rest of the money. I mean, it was just about 4 people yesterday, I think, that managed to get over a quarter of the way there to that £2,000 to build these muon detectors. So, you know, it doesn't take many people, but we do have 25,000 people on this channel that could help if they wanted to, and I think they should. Because the implication caused through cosmic radiation and the magnetic pole migration is going to affect everyone on this world. It is already, as we talk about regularly, already affecting people in this world, and it is probably already affected you guys out there already in some way of another form. You know, it could be the fact that you've noticed some crops not being in the shops shelves, you know, or you know, the food prices are going up and up and up. Well, it's a direct relationship if you track it back to the magnetic pole and the increase in cosmic radiation. And it's going to get worse, and the implications with just regards to cosmic radiation are more serious than anything else. When our magnetosphere weakens as a result of the poles migrating, then there is more cosmic radiation inbound. And it's not speculation, guys. You've seen the charts where I've showed you the increase in cosmic radiation during low solar periods, or you know, when we come to the end of a solar cycle, we always have more cosmic radiation inbound because the heliosphere has shrunk. More's coming into our solar system, and in return, it's coming into our atmosphere. Well, if our magnetosphere is weakened, that's our protective shield. If that's weakening as a result of magnetic pole migration, then we're going to have more and more cosmic radiation inbound, and that's why we really need to put these muon detectors out there to figure out how much is actually on the increase. So there's a few other things I want to get into, guys. I want to show you the data first of all that Tony sent to us, and then I want to just go back and have a look at the history of the data that we've collected with regards to the magnetic field strength. So let's get on with it. So guys, I just wanted to quickly talk about the data that we've been collecting with the magnetosphere strength sensor. What we've got is 14 months worth of data that shows us something. There's a trend throughout all the data that we've collected over the 14 months, and that is that there hasn't been any major weakening of the magnetosphere to at least the point of where we started to monitor it back in March 2018 to the current day. And it does over the month fluctuate between 2 to 3 microteslas, but nothing major as of yet. But that doesn't mean that, you know, there hasn't already been a significant weakening of the magnetosphere, because we know from other organisations that have been doing studies over a lot longer period of time, it is their knowledge that we have lost probably 15 to 20%, maybe a little bit more, of the total magnetosphere strength. This is our protective shield that protects us from inbound cosmic radiations. And I know some of you guys might be thinking, well, we're in a solar minimum at the moment, and we know that when we get low sunspot activity, you know, we get more cosmic radiation entering our solar system. So if we've got a weakened magnetosphere on top of that, yes guys, we're going to get more cosmic radiation. So that's another good, you know, this is why I'm saying it's a good idea to start looking at the muons and, you know, measuring the amounts of muons on the surface, because it's not impossible to get cosmic rays on the surface of the Earth It's better when you higher up, because they haven't had contact with other particles, and when cosmic rays hit other particles in our atmosphere, they break into subatomic particles such as muons. So if we're picking up a lot more muons at the surface, the chances are that it's been created by inbound cosmic radiation. So, just to cap off here, we're going to continue monitoring the magnetosphere strength, and if there is a drop in the magnetosphere strength, or it starts to drop, we're going to spot it, guys, and we can relay that to you. But as of the last 14 months, not really much noticeable difference. It's like got a normal behavior. During the month, it will fluctuate between 1 to 3 microteslas, and that's it. And it's nice that we've got 14 months to say, that over the last 14 months we know what it's been up to. So I just want to quickly go over to then the Hong Kong data, which we had in this morning from Tony over there. Big thanks, and let's have a look at that data. So we're here looking at the data from China that was sent in yesterday, and as you can see, it's a bit like the magnetosphere data. It's got a little bit of a bump over the period of the month. We can see we've got 2 months worth of data here, and both of them are pretty much the same. Nice stable data sets. The data that's coming in from Hong Kong is great. You can see that we're no longer having shifts on the left hand column. That's because it's been set in its place now and it's collecting good data. We do expect to see the movement of it going up and down, a lot like the magnetosphere sensor, in that it moves around about 3 microteslas during the period of a month's time. But what we're going to expect to see here is probably in 12 months time a slight increase, and I'm going to show you why that is on the other chart now. So as you guys know, we strategically placed our magnetometers in specific areas for a specific reason. That is because if you look where M1 and M2 is, and then just slightly above the darker red patch, that's the highest intensity of magnetism on that pole over the northern hemisphere. Well, we know that that's shrinking, so what we should expect to see from M1 and M2 magnetometers that are in California and Kentucky is a reduction over the next 12 months of the overall field intensity, and we'll see that that line that we look on the charts that we was just observing, we'll see that to start to decline. And then when we know that that pole over Canada right now is dissipating, we already know that that's happening because we've seen the data from other organisations, and we've seen how fast it is actually deteriorating. Now, where we've got our magnetometer in China, we should be seeing that pole come towards the magnetometer. So what we're expecting to see over the next 12 months is an increase of the intensity that we measure on the on that graph, and that will give us an indication that the highest intensity region, or the Siberian pole that we're observing, is moving towards the magnetometers. The other thing is we've got 2 magnetometers in Australia, and as you can see on this chart, you can see that big high intensity region there lurching up now over the south coast of Australia. Well, we're about mid Australia in Perth and on the Gold Coast there, and the reason why we put the magnetometers there is because we know the intensity is going to increase in that region as well as the poles begin to migrate. If they start to do it at an alarming rate, we've got an early indicator that the poles are in a migration at that point. We're also going to be sending out a magnetometer now to monitor this blue region, which is the lowest intensity, and we're also going to be putting cosmic ray detectors there to measure, because this is our weak spot on our Earth, where the lowest intensity is the least protected, and we know that is going to be a hot zone for cosmic radiation. And by having our not our magnetometers, but our muon detectors there, we can get an idea of how much cosmic radiation is inbound in that region, because it's the weakest part, and we can also put these muon detectors around the world in different locations and get readings from them as well, and we can just monitor the whole performance of the Earth's magnetic field and all those other key elements that are related to it. Guys, there isn't another YouTube channel that is doing exactly what we're doing. There isn't another observatory that is putting out the data on this topic like we are right now. We are definitely leaving other people way behind in what we're doing. And you know, we are giving these big organisations such as the European Space Agency and NASA and the other organisations now a good run for their money, and the budget that we've got to do it is small, as you know, but nevertheless it isn't stopping us coming up with all this information and data. You know, we're doing a great job. We just want to continue doing that. So, you know, as always guys, I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to order the PCB boards for our muon detectors and a few other components, and if you want to support the build of that, the links are there, as well as if you want to support the observatory and what we do, you know, the links are there guys. You can support us on Patreon, or you can make a one-off PayPal donation. It's entirely up to you. You know, there is no expectation for anyone to, you know, support what we do. But I'm hoping that you realise that it's well worth doing, guys. And the links are there if you want to do that. I'll give another update in a couple of days' time as to how far we're getting. We've got a couple of those pipe connectors come for the cloud generator, so that's slowly coming together. As we get the parts delivered, we're putting them together. Hopefully by the end of the weekend, we'll have a run-up of the Peltier blocks, and we'll see what sort of temperatures we're getting, and that'll give us an indication as to whether we need another array of cooling fans and radiators. So, you know, guys, it's all happening at the moment, as you know, and you know, hopefully we'll have some more data, perhaps from South California or Kentucky over the next few days. I know we've got a few technical problems over in Australia at the moment, but we're getting them sorted. And we'll have some data coming back in from Australia very shortly. So guys, that's what I usually do. You know, have a great week. I'll be back in a couple of days, and as always, bye for now.